Hi, we are Group 11 and we're doing transportation in Sudan, more specifically the bus industry.
Okay, so for the description of technology, we choose the on working on the charter buses. So, what is basically charter buses? This industry compresses establishments primarily engaged in providing charter bus services. These establishments do not operate over fixed routes and schedules and rent the entire vehicle rather than individual seats. So, in other words, a charter bus is a private vehicle rental used by private groups to take them and only them to their destination. With a charter bus, your group has the vehicle to themselves and can customize their itinerary as much as possible. So the state and of development and prevailing issues of this industry. We're gonna focus here on two main points that are the main producers and main issues. So for the main producers, we have MCY, Prevost, Temsa, and Van Hool. And the main issues in this industry are basically the pollution and crashes resulting from system failures, for example, brakes, failures, and finally the fuel prices going up due to the Russian-Ukraine war.
Now, let's come to the application of the technology. For the total labor sector, of which low-income people make up the majority, is the market that we are aiming at. For the majority of Sudanese, having a reliable, lightly damaged vehicle is actually a luxury. Not to add expenses related to owning a car like fuels, maintenance fees, depreciations, auto taxes, insurance, etc. Through a cost-effective car rental services, we want to provide a reliable form of transportation for individuals so that they can travel as they like without worrying about owning a vehicle. In highly populated cities such as Omdurman, Khartoum, and Obeid, where people's demands for transportation come first, a car rental model is initially intended to be tested. We will design a parking lot for rental vehicles and management offices with people nearby to help with automobile rental. Initially, customers can rent vehicles by coming to the office. For the benefit of clients looking to hire a vehicles, information about vehicle schedules, the quantities of vehicles in the parking lot, prices for each type of vehicles, etc., are published in the offices. Later, when they are familiar with the benefits of rental application to apply for a rental car online without having to visit the office. The idea will later be adopted by numerous smaller Sudanese provinces and cities as the business develops. We will initially run pricing specials to draw clients. We have established a solid and dependable customer base once they understood the advantages and ease of car rentals. And now let's come for the impact. The availability of transportation will help workers with many issues. Remote workers will have no trouble setting up their own work schedule. When they can arrange to visit the family, they no longer have to consider whether to rent a place to stay close to the workplace. Industries with a surplus of laborers will gain significantly once worker travel requirements are met. Finding workers for factories won't be a significant problem for industrial businesses. Additionally, businesses and industries can get in touch with us to arrange for staff transportation. This makes it easier for employees without access to a vehicle to get to work while also easing traffic congestion. They need to The need for travel grows together with the concentration of automobile fuel usage. It will be impossible for oil firms to ignore the attractive markets.
Now we're going to talk about the market potential. About 70% of the population uses public transportation to travel. Of that 70%, around 53% use medium to mini sized buses to get around. 15.5% use vehicles provided by large private institutions. This is an important fact to know because it lets us know that the private sector of public transportation is not heavily saturated, and it's a good place for us to enter the market. About 16% of the population move around on foot. This is also important to know because this is a potential target market. We can provide them with buses to easily get around so they no longer have to move around on foot. About 66.5% of all oil consumed in Sudan is used on the transportation sector. This is important to know because it could be a potential partnership between a bus company and an oil company in Sudan. Popular destinations that people travel to in Sudan is from home to work or home to school or sometimes to go out shopping or to attend social events. This is important to know because it helps us understand our target market segment more and understand where or what destinations our customers will be at to provide buses for them. There are new developments in Sudan currently. They are building new roads and new bridges. Some of the bridges connect cities that is divided by the Nile River, and you can see that on the right. And there are also new road networks to better travel throughout the city. This all helps the market segment because it allows for buses to travel more easier. Minibuses are very common in Sudan. However, large buses are what's mainly used to travel in between larger cities. And with the new developments of roads and bridges, it'll help the large bus segment expand because there will be a more demand for them. And also bus stations. Bus stations are being built, and government has signed new contracts to build more bus stations throughout major cities in Sudan. This also helps the large bus segment because it allows for a safer spot for customers to be picked up, and just all in all increases the demand for larger buses.
Next, let's talk about Sudan's main competitors in the transportation and bus industry. The first one is going to be taxis and tier hall. Taxis in Sudan are a little different as they are not metered and a fare must be agreed on in advance. And tier hall is their local version of Uber. Their most popular form of transportation currently are boxies. That is the nickname for their shared minivans. These are available in major cities, and these aren't like regular buses. These have pickup and drop-off locations with no set stops, and they're not entirely regulated. They also have local train lines. These connect 9 of Sudan's major cities. However, it only carries about 6% of Sudan's traffic, and this is because the rainy season, which is a lot of the year, can affect the train service, and they are also out of date. They are very slow and uncomfortable. Because of their main competitors, overall, the competitive intensity in Sudan for the bus and transportation industry is overall not competitive. Sudan has one of the lowest number of vehicles in the world, just ahead of North Korea and the Solomon Islands. As I mentioned before, their most popular ways of transportation were local companies like their version of Uber called the tier hall, or like I said, their unregulated minivans. Because there isn't a lot of competition in Sudan, this creates the perfect environment for an outside bus company to penetrate Sudan's market.
Sudan should use partnerships and strategic alliances as an entry mode because of its growing development in the transportation sector. Buses in Sudan are becoming popular, and companies like the Al Manari Group have their buses, like the Yutong in Sudan. Building other relations with other countries in the world would allow Sudan to not only grow their budget to fix their roads and expand their transport infrastructure, but it would also allow other companies to benefit from the foreign partnership as well. In 2020, Sudan imported $26.7 million in buses, becoming the 80th largest importer of buses in the world. At the same year, buses was the 77th most imported product in Sudan. An alliance can serve a number of purposes. 1. Enhancing marketing efforts. 2. Building sales and market share. 3. Improving products. 4. Reducing production and distribution costs. And 5. Sharing technology.
The last slide is about the recommendations that we have for managers and firms, especially the small and medium enterprises, to ensure a successful market entry and sustained performance. The first point is that those companies should base their foreign market entry mode choice on the resources available. Small and medium enterprises have generally limited financial and personnel resources, so they cannot absorb the high costs and risks associated with international activities. The second point is that small and medium enterprises development strategies must be country and context specific. Each country will have its own challenges, opportunities, and priorities. Resources available for implementation will vary by country, so that the result achieved will be different. So they really have to consider the country and context to ensure a successful market entry. The third point is that they should maintain development and sustain economic growth through innovation. Those companies they have inherent advantages in carrying out technological innovations because they have simple organizational structure. They are more open to internal communication. They have better focus. They have quick decision making and greater flexibility. The last point is that in order to sustain performance, managers must keep employees motivated and engaged. So, to achieve this goal, they should be respectful and honest. They should listen to employees. They should empower them. They should learn how to say thank you to them. They should recognize the staff in front of all the company. They should care about the future and they should invest a lot in training.